guys, I wanted to do a follow-up video to show the complete assembly of the ZBox modular button box that I had put together. Essentially, it's a 3D printed alternative for possibly Stream Decks, button boxes, and I'm sure a bunch of other things. To complete this project, I used an old breadboard that I had on hand, an old Arduino Mega, and I'll be looking at maybe putting together something more fancy to contain these, but for now, I just wanted to prove the concept. As far as supplies goes, I bought some DuPont connectors and a connector kit, which had some male crimp connectors to put into those DuPont connectors. I used flexible tin copper in 22 gauge, and finally a 22 gauge spade connector kit. This connector kit worked for all the buttons that I bought. Amazon links will be in the description below. Regarding the buttons, I had 4 types, a 10mm, a 12mm, a 16mm, and finally a 27mm, which is the old arcade style button. Additionally, I used an EC11 rotary encoder and some large switches with flip covers. During assembly, I found that none of the connectors I had worked on the EC11 encoder, so I ended up using both the crimps and a soldering iron. Real quick, so this is the final assembly. I have 2 27mm buttons, 9 of these 10mm buttons, and then 10 of these 12mm buttons, and these are 16mm buttons. These are EC11 rotary encoders, and these are toggle switches. Okay, getting into SimHub, you're going to go into Arduino. You're going to want to go to My Hardware. Then you're going to use the Setup tool. It'll be a single Arduino. If it prompts that screen, just hit Start from Scratch. Then you'll come up with a screen like this. You'll select the Arduino that you will be using. Then from here, you'll start populating the buttons. So mine is a 36 button build with 3 rotary encoders. There is a maximum of 12 buttons for SimHub. I'm not sure why, but in order to respect that, I'm going to use a button matrix. So this button matrix will give me 24 buttons, and then with the 12 button max on the Arduino, that takes me up to my 36. Just make sure that there's no pins that have 2 allocations to it. So, for example, your button and your encoder should not be coinciding on any pin. So pin 14, for example, is exclusive to that encoder 1 CLK. Okay, and once you finish with that, just hit upload to Arduino. Make sure it's plugged in. It'll compile. Give it a second. Then you're going to go into Controls and Events. Click on Keyboard Emulation. And then hit Add Mapping. And from here, you will map each one of the individual buttons. Just hit Add Mapping, then click to define, and you'll do that for, again, each one of your individual buttons. Your encoders, it will depend on the direction. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoy your button box if you decide to make one. If you have any suggestions or thoughts, feel free to put them in the comments below.